Too much. mean, wouldn't Moira have loved those? I mean, she loved flowers of every kind. And she was also unique. So I love from the flowers to holding this beautiful service on this beautiful day here at Frankie's where she lived and loved for so long. It's really special. And I want to thank you, each and every one of you, who made an effort to be here today. Because I think I know actually that our presence matters. It's how we create holy space. When in Matthew, verse 18 to 20, it says, "For where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am." It just takes two or three, and here we are. And so many people have dialed in from online. We've got people staying up until the early morning hours in America, in the UK, in Australia, and New Zealand. So we're joined by a larger community, and I hope that for those of you who are dialing in, you feel both welcomed and included. Your presence matters, and it's indeed how we make today precious and reverential, and hopefully help each other find some comfort. So your presence matters, and thank you for being here today. And so on that note, maybe I want to start by just sharing a few opening words, and then I'll ask you to nod your heads in prayer. But for now, this is just a welcoming reading that is in the program. We meet on holy ground. For that place is holy, where we meet one another, where lives touch, where love moves, where hope stirs, there is holy ground. How strong our need is for one another, our silent beckoning to our neighbours, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet, and their welcome into our own. We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life. As personal histories merge into communal story, as we take on the pride and the pain of our companions, and as separate selves become community. So that is the work, that is the honor, that is what we've come here to do today. And so in that spirit, I'll ask to invite you to just nod your heads and join me in prayer. Father God, Holy Spirit, we gather here today to remember Moira, your child, your angel, your emissary who you entrusted to us for a long time, and we give praise for that. We are filled with thanks. Our hearts are very full today, also with sadness, because we miss her. We've come together today to do our best to pay tribute, to pay honor, to show our love, to show our deep, deep regard, and to support each other, to give comfort to Anne and Jane, especially and their families. We pray, Lord, that today we feel your mercy, we feel your grace, we feel your peace. Be with us as we gather today. Be with us through it all. The tears, the laughter, the joy. Be with us, hold us, Almighty Spirit. In your name we give thanks. Amen. Moira was unique. I don't know that word come up as spoke you many times. She was both religious and spiritual, and she had a strong faith. And she also was open-minded and drew from many sources. And one of the books she loved was The Prophet. And so her dear friend Tina, who she met first, we think of the Wanderers through Bulls, and walked almost daily with here at Frankie's, has chosen a special passage to share with us today. Thank you, Tina.
There's no volume on for watching the meeting. There's no volume.
Thank you for letting us know. Nico, there is no volume for the people on the internet. They can't hear me. And you can't hear me either, so I must speak up. And maybe, Nico, if you can also elevate my voice. Thank you. Number one is being able to hear each other, right?
Yes.
Let's sort that out before Tina comes up. Do we know if the people online can hear yet? Thank you, thank you. Let's just wait and sort this out. I think it's important that they feel included too. Can you hear me now for those who are online? Can you hear?
Very quiet.
It's still very quiet, so I will speak up. And Tina, you might need to too. All right. We'll speak loudly and into the mic. So I was just saying to those of you who are online and can now hopefully hear, we've got people from America, it's early morning, great. Okay, phew. Australia, New Zealand, and England. So thank you. Thank you for staying up and being with us. Tina, would you like to come and share your reading, please?
A reading from the Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Can you hear me? If you will indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life. For life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. In the depths of your hopes and desires lies your knowledge of the beyond. And like seeds dreaming beneath the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity. Your fear of death is like the trembling of the shepherd when he stands before the king, whose hand is to be laid upon him in honor. Is the shepherd not joyful beneath his trembling, that he shall wear the mark of the king? Yet he is not more mindful of his trembling. But what is it to die, but to stand naked in the wind, and to melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing, but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand, and seek God unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountain top, then you shall begin to climb. And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. So I leave with you a happy image of our dear friend, free from pain and suffering, singing and dancing in heaven.
Thank you, Tina. So one of the things that Moira specified is that we should sing Amazing Grace at her memorial. And so I'm going to ask you all to rise. If you're more comfortable staying sitting, please stay sitting. Paula, thank you for leading us in song, and thank you for the music today. The words are in your Bible. she will speak to how they met. But as many of you know, Moira was an only child. And so I think also, Viv, you were like sister, really. And that bond formed early and endured for 73 years. Just remarkable. I can only imagine how much you miss her. How brave it is of you to come and stand up and talk about your dying friend today. Come and try. I'll be right next to you.
Wow, there's so many people here. It's wonderful. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm privileged today to be here to speak about a constant, loving, caring friend of 73 years, Moira Ford. In 1950, I was the new girl on the block at St. Mary's School in Aberthy, in Standard 4, and I needed to be shown my place. However, after much teasing one Saturday afternoon, I'd had enough. So I picked up a brick and I threw it at my tormentor. It missed. But from that day onwards, we became good friends. And Moira realized I would not put up with her nonsense. And so we became partners in many childhood pranks. Mo's mom and dad became my second parents, and Mo's home became my second home. During the Asian flu epidemic to which I succumbed, Mo's mom had extra lunch sandwiches. So with a ball of string and the lunch firmly tied onto the end of the ball of string, Moira would throw the ball up to the first floor dormitory window, and the starving boarder was fed. Even from an early age, Mo's athletic ability was never a question. She excelled on the sports field, in the gym, on the tennis court, and of course in the swimming pool. Her pets were many and varied: dogs, cats, white mice, a nach Aberthy, and a delightful sparrow called Jenny. Jenny had tumbled out of the nest and hurt her wing before even feathers were visible. Mo rescued her, took her home, nurtured her to adulthood, and so she chirped and sang for another 23 years. Mo enjoyed her horse riding at Centaur stables and would buy tikkie carrots from the Norwood Portuguese market gardens to feed all the horses. It was at these stables where Major Aberthy brought the first Lipizzaner horse into the country. At school, we did some acting together. One I remember was Toad of Toad Hall. I was Rat, and she was Mouse. Mo left school after writing her JC exams, as it could already be seen that her swimming talents were overtaking her academic studies. She took a 6-month secretarial course, and her first work experience was with Hilton Records Shop in Orange Grove. After that, she started working to teach children to swim. Mo became the proud owner of a Vespa scooter, mainly to get her to swimming training at the Hillsborough indoor pool. With determination, perseverance, and practice, she was chosen to become a Springbok swimmer and take part in the 1956 Olympic Games in Melbourne. The women's relay team returned victorious with a bronze medal. What a proud moment. Mo's determination and courage are legendary. If she thought something was worth her time and effort, she would give it 100%. This showed in her success at hockey, swimming, gardening, golf, and bowls. She was never one to skip on practicing to achieve better results. Mo was very good at keeping in touch with her friends. At first, it was through correspondence, when the post office still worked. Then on the phone, and finally on her mobile. During her final months, we had at least a half-hour chat almost every day. She was very good at issuing instructions, and she expected an almost immediate response. Her swimmers knew if they heard her piercing whistle, they stopped immediately to listen to instructions. She was a very successful swimming coach, whether you were just learning to swim or you were a Springbok swimmer. Mo had a generous nature, and for her 60th birthday, she took 4 couples to Mkuzi Game Reserve, where between the celebrations, we went on game walks and exciting drives. Game reserves were her happy place. Her love of animals also took her to work at Crow in Durban, a bird rehabilitation centre. Moira's family were her life. How excited she was to move to Plettenberg Bay, close to Jane and not far from Anne. She filled every moment of the day, whether it was gardening, reading, painting, cooking, feeding birds, birding, chasing guinea fowl, walking, chatting to friends, and giving advice. Mo's life was filled with caring, joy, and love for all. God bless you, Mo. You have left an enormous vacuum in my life. Thank you for being such a close friend and sharing your life with me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, well done, Beth. I've heard so many stories about Moira and was just spent some time with her for most of the village too. But hearing you speak about the feeding and the sandwiches reminding you telling me stories, Jane, about just what a feeder she was. She couldn't really cook. She was, she was happy to advocate the cooking, but boy, would she make sure that people were fed. Even if it was the porridge that you had to feed to the dogs under the table, Anne became known even at school as Chicken Leg Anne, because there was always a chicken leg. She excelled as a mother in so many ways, and her lunch boxes were extraordinary. And the Lamont and the Vitals and all of it. She was just, just it speaks to her generosity, doesn't it? Hospitality so beautifully. The other thing that really struck me speaking to her daughters was how, even going through the film, which I think you did, Nikki, is actually you would have thought, being Moira, that her phone would be full of thousands of numbers, and there weren't thousands. It was a modest group. But the thing about Moira is once you made it in a circle, and you were in, there was nothing she wouldn't have done for you, and you probably, felt like you were the most important person in her life, and she held you once you were in. And that, I think, is just remarkable. I think all of you felt held by Moira in that way. I'm going to keep my reflections very short today, but they're based on this passage, beautiful passage from John, that meant a lot in the family. And I'm just going to sort of speak to each verse just a little bit. The opening lines of John 14, 1 to 3 says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled." It's sort of a curious message, because of course our hearts are troubled. How can they not be troubled? How can we not be overcome by grief and sadness? But Moira loved swimming in water. She swam until she was 75, until the brain up didn't allow that anymore. And I think of the ocean, which was one of the things that really connected her and Anne especially. You know, how choppy it can be on the surface sometimes, but just below, underneath, it's always silent as you go beneath the waves, no matter how stormy on the top. And that's something I think that this passage is speaking. It says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Let's gather, let's sink into that silence. Let's let ourselves be comforted. There is a message of hope here today, and it goes on. You believe in God, believe also in me. So clearly this is Jesus Christ speaking to his disciples and saying, I am God's son, I am God's emissary, listen to me. But I think also that each one of us are those emissaries, each one of us are those children. Moira was a faithful child of God. She was that emissary. And just like this passage speaks to us so directly, you know, believe also in me, if it were not so. That was Moira, right? She spoke straight. And heaven forbid you didn't take her advice sometimes too, you know. It was straight talking. And this is in a tone that Moira would appreciate. It's like, listen to me, believe in me, have faith. My Father's house has many rooms. Now, this passage was very special in the Lamont family, and Anne speaks as a child, loving this passage, and actually imagining that house that was being prepared. You know, there are many rooms in this house. It is a generous house. It is a house for all. It is inclusive and expansive. And for Anne as a child, it was lovely to imagine the different rooms and get lost in believing what that could be. And indeed, and so we'll come back to that a little bit too. If it were not so, would I not have told you that I was going to prepare a place for you? And Moira was just remarkable at this too. We've heard Vivian spoken to it, and I think it will come through some of the eulogies later. I mean, her homes were gorgeous, and especially her gardens. I mean, there were orchards, there were veggie patches. Jane speaks about how much she wanted to go to nursery school. Why go to nursery school when her home was where it was at, right? She very reluctantly went to nursery school because there were animals and birds, and it was just Moira prepared so well. She made home, she welcomed generously, and yet it was also very simple. It was this beautiful balance. She didn't live ostentatiously, but she invested. She loved plants and animals and people, and she made home so well. Anne speaks about this beloved swimming towel that Anne really loved. And even as Moira moved homes over the years, and even when Anne was grown, that towel would go with Moira. And Anne knew that if she went to her mother's house, her mother would have prepared with that towel. There was a comfort in that. And what a wonderful mother. You know, Anne, you said, I'm sure Jane, it was the same for you, that she'd always go back to her mother's house. She lived, when her mother was here at Bridges and Anne was elsewhere, that her mother's home was the place where she could go and rest and be cared for. What a gift, what a mother to continuously make home and keep home. There's just one other story which I do, but it's the story of the scorpion. Anne and Moira were at a game park, and one night they got back to their room and there was a pretty scary looking scorpion, which really Anne could not tolerate. And so there was Moira stopping at the scorpion because the stomps would attract the scorpion to her and deflect the scorpion from her. Again, how generous, how hospitable, how just motherly and welcoming. And so this passage speaks to, yes, the home that is being prepared in heaven, but also places that Moira was so amazing at providing. And the passage just goes on. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back. And I think of how Moira, and I know how Moira longed to be reunited with her mother. Also was an exceptional mother. She was us. And she knew and she hoped and she believed that they were waiting for her. That they were part of the angels ahead preparing a place for her. And that gave her deep comfort, knowing that there was a place being prepared and believing that she would see her mother and be reunited with Dennis again. And now she's on the other side preparing a place for those who goes next, as only Moira can do. And so the passage ends by saying, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you may also be where I am. And so yes, that's one day ahead when each of us has to make that crossing. But I think it's also now, you know. Again, Moira was so distinctive in her loves. She loved and she loved dearly, and you were no in doubt with who and what she loved. And birds were just, you know, obviously a huge joy. So I think that, you know, in those moments when you hear birdsong, or get visited by a heron in particular, or just see beautiful flowers, it's there too, you know. There will be many moments of remembering. There have been many moments of remembering. She is making place for us. Spirit is visiting us, offering that comfort, offering that birdsong, saying, it's not just one day far off, it's now. I'm here with you now. Here's a place, and here's a place, and here's a home. Sit with me in nature. Sit and listen to that birdsong, even if you can't identify it. I mean, you know Moira would have been able to tell you what that bird was. Enjoy, stop, pause. That you may also be where I am. Thank you. I want to invite you to rise and to sing another hymn. This one we think Moira would have loved. And its simplicity, fill the world with love. Thank you, Carla, for leading us.
I shall
So time for some more tributes now. And first I think Jane, my daughter Jane.
Good morning, everyone. As you can tell, Anne and I have been fighting all day as to who's going first. We know the person going second will cry, but I seem to win it today. So, I just wanted to say, firstly, there are so many special faces here today that it's marvelous to be able to share, celebrating Mom's most spectacular life with so many dear people. Can you hear me all right, by the way? I do not want to speak to Mom's life history and many achievements today, as it simply wasn't the essence of who Mom was to me. Her character was determined by her distinctive intrinsic nature and a host of unique characteristics that define the incredible Mom that she was and how she lived her life. And without a doubt, a mother-child relationship is profound. And the limitations of language do not allow me to adequately express how much I love my mom. It's an honor to stand up here today and pay tribute to a formidable human being and mother. And it was a true privilege to walk her last journey with her and to collectively experience the gift of closure. Mom transitioned out of this world and into the next, her way, with her normal determination, poise, and grace. When Mom passed, I felt this disgorged hollow in the pit of my being, that feeling particular to grief that shatters your soul and takes your breath away. I won't lie, I ugly cried and drank way too much French champagne for days and reminisced with my sister and our hubbies. But from nowhere came a calm, a deep, resounding sense of peace and togetherness of souls, as if Mom was consistent snowflakes gently falling from the sky and melting into my footprints. I realized then that Mom's memory will never be assigned to a forced cognitive thought, but with unswerving determination will continuously push its way into my subconscious with abundance and no warning. The peace I'm feeling now is because I don't need to worry about Mom physically not being on this earth. As Mom is deep within me, I see and hear and feel Mom everywhere. She floods my senses in the birds, the flowers, the animals. I hear her telling me to look at my orchid leaves for those little brown beetles that are going to eat the spikes. And I'm compelled to go back and do it again. So my civilian disaster of 2022 is not repeated, and I do not feel the scowl of Mom from above. I smile as I groan at the ref and hear Mom saying, honestly, is the ref going to allow them to come in through the side the whole game? This level of integration is only achieved from a lifetime of being present, invested, and committed. Mom never sat on the fence. And if you were lucky enough to be in the inner circle, you were never alone, as I'm sure many of you would attest to. Mom was always available. In fact, you couldn't be with Mom for 10 minutes without the shriek of birdsong coming out of her phone, as friends and family ceaselessly reached out to connect with her. Mom walked my life journey with me, step by step. She experienced the good, the hard, and the sad moments standing right by my side. I lived knowing I had her full support and belief in me. She was my inspiration, and she tackled life with so much courage and so much conviction. She did, she lived, and she loved without restraint. And it is this abundance of giving that integrates her deep into my soul. Mom and I shared many passions and traits. I'd like to think I share her characteristics of loyalties to those I love and determination to all I undertake. We were both passionate about rugby, animals, birds, gardens, painting, and we always shared a great love of potting. And I see a few raised eyebrows, so let me explain. We were not part of any cannabis trade, but we both found much enjoyment in just being in our gardens, pottering around, enjoying the birds, enjoying the critters. It was our sanctuary, it was our peace. In fact, Mom helped me create my garden, which is filled with plants, birds, mongooses, genets, tree frogs, and so much more, from literally beach, sand, and bush. And she intimately knew every inch and critter as I did. So from now on, when I go about my potting, and I hear my husband, as he always does, ask me who I'm talking to, the answer won't be the dogs or the birds. It will be a resounding, I'm talking to Mom, dear. I'm talking to Mom. I'd like to read a poem from Donna Ashworth, titled When I Go. When I go, don't learn to live without me. Just learn to live with my love in a different way. And if you need to see me, close your eyes or look in your shadow when the sun shines. I'm there. Sit with me in the quiet, and you will know that I did not leave. There is no leaving when one's soul is blended with another. When I go, don't learn to live without me. Just learn to look for me in the moments. I will be there. Mom will remain with me deep in my soul as I continue on my life journey, and I celebrate the biggest gift that she has given me of her lifelong presence. In conclusion, I want to say a few words from my children, her grandchildren, Jess and Ash. From Jess, I've been blessed to have had my gran hold such a strong presence in my life, and she truly was and always will be an incredible woman. So much of who I am and how I see the world comes from Granny, and so much of my confidence comes from her belief in me. We are so blessed to have her continue by our sides for the rest of our lives, this time as our beautiful guardian angel. And from Ash, Granny was fiercely strong-willed, motivated, and independent. She was also fiercely loving, kind, and loyal. It will always encourage me and give me strength moving forward, knowing I have her watching over me. Granny gave me the most incredible imprint of her love for nature, from flora to fauna, and I know that with every interaction I have, her love and presence will always be with me. Thank you so much.
My dearest Mama, it has been 14 days, actually, that you left this earth. And I tell you every night and every morning that I love you. And in the last 8 months of my mother's journey, when I was never sure whether she would be there the next day, I always said to her, my love will go with you always and forever, and yours will be with me always and forever. I never ended a conversation or left the room without saying that to her in the 8 months of her illness. And that's why, Mom, I am addressing this to you. You are so, so deep in my heart that I feel like you're here and I'm talking to you. I'm so privileged to have had 57 years. My mom saw me as a child, she saw me as a mother, she saw me as a daughter, a sister. She saw all those stages. But I think I was especially privileged, and with my amazing sister, to have walked her down journey. And guys, you were amazing. Just walking that journey with her, I just got to know her in a completely different way. And I am going to speak to you, Mom, about your achievements. I think, as Jane says, it's definitely not what she was to either of us, but I do know that she actually liked to hear about her achievements. So I thought I'm going to do her that honor. You know, she often told me she was proud of me, but I am so proud of her. She left school at 16, and got married at 19, which I think was the norm for her. I think Jamie's here as well as special friends. It was the norm. but she managed to still like carve out this amazing life that she did with such courage and determination. I mean, you know, we all know she swam, she went to the Olympics, she got a medal, she was a Springbok trialist in hockey. She created an amazing, just a swim school, and then she played with squad, she trained Springboks. But through all of that, she was just an amazing mother and an amazing daughter, I have to say, and at the end, an amazing grandmother. And she was always the person in our family, when the chips were down, that was there, that everybody went to. Guys, I hate to give this to you, but you were always there. You have that amazing strength, which I think I just really admire. But it can't have been easy for my mom, after 30 years of marriage, to pack up when she divorced my father and go to Cape Town, and start a new swim squad in Cape Town, and then pack up and go to Durban, where she worked a bit and remarried to Dennis, where she had an amazing life. And then came to Rankies when Dennis died and formed a life here, as I can see with everybody here. And then she told me at 82 she was going to Plate. I was like, Mom, your community is in Joburg. I know Jane is in Plate, but you know, you're going to be lonely. I was like, no, I won't be lonely. And sure enough, even though she got six weeks into being there, she wasn't lonely. And I think, like, how did you do that, my dearest mother? Like, how did you do that? And I think she did it with her garden, and with her plants, and with her birds, and with her animals, and just with the energy that she put out there. And I will see you, Mom. I will see you, my dearest mother, in every garden, in every flower, in every plant, and in our water, and in our ocean. I am definitely my mom's water baby, and I will see her always and forever there. But she also did it by reaching out to people. And, you know, she was such an exceptionally loyal friend and loyal mother. She always stayed in contact with somebody who's not so good at this. She never forgot the important dates. But most importantly, she encouraged. I think when I was young, I thought it was criticism, but as I got older, I realized it was encouragement. I think there are many in this congregation today that would have been encouraged by my mother to do more, to believe in yourself more, to not procrastinate, to look after yourself. I mean, she wasn't beyond instructing if she needed to. But she had this innate belief in everyone. Oh, Mom, it was so amazing to see that. And in her dying, Jane and I got 8 months where we were often the go-between between her friends and her, and saw her messages and what was posted. And in those 8 months, as she was dying, she was encouraging every day. She was giving instruction every day, even to her new friends in Plate, who love her and spoke about how much she did for them, even in that time. It's such a beautiful thing. Your courage and your belief in me, dearest mother, when I didn't always have it, is going to be such an enormous fall in my life. You were so unequivocally always in my corner. You held me as a child when I was sad and told me I was your brilliant, beautiful baby, and you held me still as an adult when I was scared or worried about something. And you very much hold me in my heart as I stand here, and it's a courage that I hope to bring to my own life now. This living life so fully and so authentically enabled my mother when she first got her news to say that I'm at peace. I have no regrets. She said her life far exceeded what she could have hoped for as a child. But even in her no-regret world, she did it her way. I mean, what really stays with me is she broke her hip in December, and they couldn't operate because the cancer was far gone. But by the Monday, she was like, can you get me the physio so I can do exercises, because I need to exercise my hip and keep my legs strong. I mean, this utter determination and commitment to do what was right for her. You know, she always ate correctly, lived her life well, looked after herself, looked after others. It's quite remarkable, but she also didn't mind asking for advice. She didn't mind learning. She never saw it as less than when somebody else told you what to do. And I just find that so remarkable, the way you practice at everything. In the last 8 months, she made me promise, so I'll promise again in front of the congregation, to look after myself and not work so hard and eat the right things and make sure I'm so this morning when I was getting ready, and I don't normally wear makeup, I remember my mother saying, "Your face looks so nice when you put makeup on." I was like, "Oh my God, I better put some makeup on." So she's very much in my head and my heart. I want to end on love. Mom, you simply loved me. You believed in love and you needed love. You loved your grandchildren and were always excited when they called. You loved your family and your daughters. You loved your partners, you loved mine. You loved your friends. You loved everything to do with nature. And you loved simplicity, a sunset, a bird, a self-catering game reserve, which was her favorite bird, a rock pool, some nuts, a good meal, a walk. You appreciated deeply new things and things given to you. And I know, guys, we both loved spoiling her. It didn't actually matter what you gave her, she just loved it. You were never scared to be vulnerable. You loved laughing and playing and had this mischievous side. For the last 20 years, I have pretty much spoken to you daily, visited your various homes, hosted you in mine, and taken you on holidays. I shared everything, as you did with me. You were always interested, you always gave me your full attention, and you always saw me, as I did you. What more could I ask, dearest mother, but that? What more could I give but that? I'm going to end on a Rumi quote. Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who love with their heart and their soul, there is no such thing as separation. And you're with me, dear mother, as you watch us from above.
And yes, we do have matching dresses.
Yes. And they're full of flowers and works for Mom.
Well done, Jane, well done. That's beautiful. And so beautifully complimentary. The words as are your dresses. So I've been asked to share 2 more tributes, and both beautiful. We'll just flesh out more and more and more about Moira. So the first one is from Little Mo, and Jane's cousin, and she writes, Auntie Mo, where do I begin? You are my namesake and such a huge influence in my life. 5 exclamation marks. We shared many things together, our love for sport, especially swimming. I am what I am today because of you. More exclamation marks. All our long sessions in the pool, watching the Concorde in the early morning, practicing its takeoffs, and landing, flying over the pool at Bedford View Primary, getting me to be the great backstroker I became. I fondly remember you walking me around the lawns of the big pools pre-race to calm me down. So competed, and then you sitting at the 50-meter turn to signal to me if I was on target for the time I was trying to achieve. Then getting me to teaching and helping me build up the big swim school that became legendary in Bedford View. Even now, leaving South Africa and starting to teach in the UK, you always wanted to know how it was going. And for that I will be eternally grateful. I am loving my teaching here, and it's all thanks to you. All our amazing holidays at Ramsgate where we spent such special times together. Remember when Sue was holding an electric bedside lamp and the electricity going through her? You just walked up to her in your flops, which had many rolls, and took it from her, always making everything okay. You were such a great role model to me, and anyone who came into contact with you. A true legend, winning bronze at the 1956 Olympics. You will be remembered and truly missed by so many people all over the world. I feel like there's a huge hole in my heart, that no one will ever fill. Rest peacefully now and fly with the angels, my special auntie. And this one from Jenny. Is Jenny also in the audience today? Jenny, so I'm reading your words for you, and thank you for sharing this. My darling Mo, we came together today to celebrate the life of an incredible sportswoman, friend, mother, and grandmother. You know they say that everyone enters your life for a reason? I wholeheartedly believe that to be true. I have met some of the most amazing people who will have a lasting impact on my life. There are certain people, though, the ones who have a special place in your heart, the ones you will never forget and can't thank God enough for bringing them into your life. Mo, my best and dearest friend, my confidant, you are most certainly one of those most special people. Mo, the day I heard you passed, I literally felt pain in my heart like it was broken and shed many tears as I had lost my previous friend. Our friendship has lasted a lifetime of love, caring, compassion, and understanding. I thank you for always being there to listen, to give advice, and for always caring about my well-being. Mo, I thank you for everything. For the incredible memories we shared, standing on the podium of the 1956 Melbourne Olympics receiving our bronze medal. What a proud moment that was. Do you remember? That's what Sue, Mo, and I would say on numerous occasions when we met for lunch. Do you remember? We remember our times at the games together with laughter, joy, and pride. A bond was formed together that has lasted a lifetime. Mo, you lived an incredible life. You were a friend to so many and loved trying new and exciting things. You had so many stories to tell, and I loved hearing them. I don't think you understand how much happiness you brought to so many people. You could light up any room that you walked into, and everyone knew who you were. Nobody was a stranger to you either. You could walk up to someone and act like you knew them forever. Everybody was friend to you. Mo said she had a wonderful life and was so blessed, traveling and seeing the world, often as a chaperone to the Springbok girls swimming team. You certainly had a love for many sports, including rugby and cricket. Every man loved chatting to you about all the matches. You certainly knew yourselves. Your other passion was visiting the game reserve, seeing the animals, and you had such a keen interest in birding. Mo always watched and loved having a beautiful garden. I'm sure she talked to her plants, and they thrived under her care. Mo, we have been the best of friends for the last 66 years. One would say a lifetime. Bless you, my friend. I love you. I miss hearing your voice. My heart is broken, and I miss you more than you can ever imagine. She was our down-to-earth angel, and I know that she now has her own set of wings. God bless all her family. They were all so special. Thank you for your amazing mom, who brought us so much joy and kindness. She touched so many lives in a beautiful way. She will be sorely missed and remembered always. My dearest friend is at peace now and will be forever in my heart. I love you, Jenny. That's a lot of words and a lot of feeling. So I want to invite everyone present in your own way. Just let's take a minute of silence. Let's absorb what was shared. Maybe you want to speak to Mo So many people have bravely spoken to her. What would you like to say in these quiet moments? What would you like to wish her? Let's just hold a minute of silence together. Thank you. As we move to closing, I want to invite you to stand with me one last time. In the program you have the words to a litany of memory. I will say each of the lines, and afterwards I'd love you to just chime in with the words, "We will remember you." So you don't need to say it all. Just after I've said each line, will you join me in "We will remember you"? I think this is, as I hope you will agree, so appropriate tomorrow. Let's begin. In the rising of the sun when it's going down, in the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, in the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, in the blueness of the sky and the warmth of summer, in the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, in the beginning of the year and when it ends, when we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joys we yearn to share. Yes, we remember Moira, for she is part of all of us. Thank you. Please be seated. And so the closing song, which I'm going to invite you just to enjoy, not to sing with today, is very appropriately one that Moira also asked for. It was her theme song. What better way to close out than by imbibing the words and the spirit of Frank Sinatra's My Way.
Stay
Anne and Jane have asked me to not single anyone out because really we're grateful to everybody who's here, everyone who's online. But I just have to say that when I arrived this morning and looked at the back at just how beautiful things have been laid out, just a huge thanks to Rankeys for hosting us. This was always going to be the place where Moira's memorial would be. The flowers are gorgeous, the food is amazing. So a heartfelt invitation from the family to please stay. There is food aplenty, drinks aplenty, and it is lunchtime. So please, if you can stay and enjoy. Thank you again to the many, many who are online. Ash and Maggie, and it must be early morning for you now. And I know you've made a whole evening of this, and I hope that you can feel the love and feel the presence in everybody who's dialed in from afar, all the grandkids. I just want to say then in closing, just close once again with a prayer, if you will, at least. So you might want to bow your heads, or keep them open. This is a prayer both for Moira but for all of us as we leave here today, that we may leave with the spirit of deep peace. Deep peace of the running wave to you, deep peace of the flowing air to you, deep peace of the quiet earth to you, deep peace of the shining stars to you, deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of Christ, of Christ, of Christ, the light of the world to you. Deep peace of Christ to you. And so it is. Amen.